Hello, fellow gardeners. If you're watching the Soil Secrets Studio channel, you're already committed to building healthier gardens and, well, deeper soil knowledge. Today, I'm thrilled to share a technique that really transformed how I think about garden preparation and how quickly I can establish productive beds. Let's talk about trash layering, a method that turns what most of us are throwing away into, instant garden fertility. The composting conundrum, why we're all doing it wrong. We've been conditioned to believe that building great garden soil requires patience, lots of it. Traditional composting demands months of waiting, regular turning, careful moisture management, and, well, dedicated space. You build the bin, add materials, wait for months while it sits, and finally, if you've done everything right, you have dark, crumbly compost ready to work into your beds. Meanwhile, your garden beds remain depleted, and your gardening plans get delayed. But here's the reality most gardeners never consider. What if you could have fertile soil immediately, without the waiting game? What if the waste you're generating in your kitchen and yard could transform directly into plant nutrition exactly where your vegetables and flowers need it? This is where trash layering changes everything. Instead of processing materials in a separate compost bin and then hauling that finished product to your beds months later, you're creating a living, working compost factory right in your garden bed itself. The decomposition happens exactly where the plants are growing, feeding them continuously as materials break down. The frustration with traditional composting isn't really about the method itself. It's more about the disconnect between where our waste originates, where we process it, and where we finally benefit from it. Trash layering, well, it eliminates that gap entirely, also known as lasagna gardening or sheet mulching. It's based on one fundamental principle: layer nitrogen-rich and carbon-rich materials directly in your garden bed. Then just allow them to decompose right there in place, and you can immediately benefit from the results. Unlike traditional composting, this method doesn't require you to wait for full decomposition before planting. You can plant right away because the top layer of your bed is immediately workable. Meanwhile, the layers beneath provide continuous nutrition as they gradually break down. The magic, it happens through a process called in-place composting. When you layer green materials, which are nitrogen-rich, and brown materials, which are carbon-rich, in alternating strata, you're creating optimal conditions for decomposition. Microorganisms, they colonize these layers and begin breaking down the materials, releasing nutrients that slowly become available to plant roots. It's composting, but happening exactly where your plants are feeding. The materials you'll use for trash layering, well, they're probably already in your home. Your kitchen scraps, vegetable trimmings, fruit peels, coffee grounds, and eggshells become green layers. Your yard waste, fallen leaves, grass clippings, shredded newspaper and cardboard becomes brown layers. These everyday items that typically end up in landfills or trash cans, they now become premium soil amendments. The technique works because nature, it already knows how to break down organic matter. We're simply creating the right conditions and location for that to happen. The step-by-step trash layering method, well, it all starts with preparation. Preparation is everything, really. First, select your garden bed location. Now, unlike traditional composting, you don't actually need to dig up the existing soil or even remove the vegetation that's already there. In fact, leaving what's already there actually works in your favor. So, lay down a foundation layer of cardboard, or you could use several layers of newspaper directly over the area you've chosen. Make sure to overlap these pieces generously so weeds and grass can't push through. This cardboard layer serves two important purposes. It smothers existing vegetation, preventing regrowth, and it provides an excellent base layer of carbon-rich material that will, over time, break down into your soil structure. Next up is building your first brown layer. Once your cardboard is all in place, go ahead and add a layer of carbon-rich dry materials about 4 to 6 inches thick. This could include dry leaves, straw, shredded paper, sawdust, wood chips, or even aged manure. These brown materials provide the carbon that microorganisms need for energy, and they also create handy air pockets that allow oxygen to penetrate deeper into your layers. The physical structure really matters here, so avoid compacting this layer as you want it to remain nice and porous. Now we're introducing your first green layer. On top of your brown layer, you'll want to spread a layer of nitrogen-rich, moist materials, about 2 to 3 inches thick, give or take. This is really where your kitchen scraps shine, you know. Vegetable and fruit scraps, coffee grounds with their filters, tea bags, a few crushed eggshells, and even plant clippings. All of these work beautifully. You can also use fresh grass clippings from lawns that haven't been treated with herbicides, by the way. The key thing here is that these materials are wet or moist in nature, and they're rich with nitrogen that microorganisms absolutely crave. Just spread these materials evenly across your brown layer. The repetition, well, that's what creates the magic. Keep alternating brown and green layers, always aiming for roughly 2 parts brown to 1 part green by volume. As you build, lightly mist each layer with water. The goal is moisture like a wrung-out sponge, not soaked or dry. So this moisture is, well, absolutely crucial because it activates the microorganism colonies that drive decomposition. Without adequate moisture, the process just stalls. Add brown layers, add green layers, add moisture, and then repeat. Finishing with the planting layer. Once your layered bed reaches the height you want, you'll want to finish with a topping of about 4 to 6 inches of finished compost, topsoil, or a mixture of both. This final layer is your immediate planting zone. The materials beneath will go on decomposing. But this top layer gives you the structure and nutrition your seeds and transplants need to get established right away. You're not waiting for the whole pile to decompose. You're creating conditions for immediate gardening while building long-term soil fertility beneath. Will it smell bad? This is the question I hear most frequently. The answer is actually pretty straightforward. Done correctly, a trash-layered bed produces minimal odor. The key is balance. Too many green materials packed too tightly create anaerobic or oxygen-free conditions that can generate unpleasant smells. If you encounter odor, simply add more brown material and fluff the layers slightly to reintroduce oxygen. Also, it's best to avoid adding meat, fish, oils, or dairy products, as they decompose differently and, well, tend to attract unwanted attention. So, just stick to plant-based scraps and yard waste. What about pests and rodents? A well-constructed trash-layered bed doesn't attract pests any more than a traditional compost pile would. Just remember to bury your kitchen scraps deeper in the pile, rather than leaving them exposed on the surface. The layers of brown material actually provide a barrier that discourages rodents from tunneling through. If you're in an area with persistent pest pressure, simply ensure your top planting layer is thick enough that pests can't easily reach the decomposing materials below. Accelerating the process, right? So if you want faster decomposition, you can speed things along. Add a compost accelerator or finished compost between layers to introduce active microorganism colonies. Keep your moisture consistent throughout the layers. Decomposition slows dramatically when things dry out. You can also create a hotter, faster decomposing pile by using fresher materials and building your layers in 1 or 2 days, rather than spreading the work over time. Seasonal timing matters. Fall is ideal for trash layering because you have abundant leaves and can integrate spring-planted beds throughout winter. Summer layering works too, though you'll need to maintain consistent moisture as heat accelerates decomposition. Spring and early summer beds can be planted into immediately if you're using finished compost for your top layer. Think about your garden's needs and timeline when choosing when to build your trash-layered beds. The long-term garden revolution. What makes trash layering truly transformative isn't just the instant fertility, it's what it means for your garden's future. Each trash-layered bed becomes a permanent fertility factory. As materials decompose, they improve soil structure, increase water retention, and establish thriving microbial communities. Your soil becomes darker, richer, and more biologically active with each passing season. You're not just feeding plants, you're building living soil. Beyond the garden, you're making a statement about waste. Those kitchen scraps and yard materials aren't rubbish to be hauled away. They're nutrients that belong in your garden. You're reducing landfill contributions, eliminating the need for synthetic fertilizers, and creating a closed-loop system where your garden's waste becomes your garden's wealth. It's sustainable gardening that actually works. Your instant garden transformation starts now. Stop waiting for traditional compost to finish breaking down. Gather your cardboard, collect your kitchen scraps, rake up those fallen leaves, and build your first trash-layered bed this week. Document your results, notice how quickly your plants thrive in beds built this way, and experience the difference that in-place fertility makes. I'd love to see your trash layering projects. Share your photos and results in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Soil Secret Studio for more gardening techniques that deliver real results. Your garden is about to transform, and it's starting with what you've been throwing away.